Oh, I'm live already. That was quick. So I'm going to go ahead and go live. Anybody that's here, go ahead and leave your comments. Talk to us tonight because this is a serious topic. I wanted to come in just a few minutes early to make sure everything is up and running, and it looks like it is. We're just going to wait for Dr. Rogers to get in and get started. So, welcome anybody and everybody that is here that wants to be here. I hope I'm on the right one. Anyway, I've been gone for a minute. I just been doing me for a minute, and I'm glad to be back. I want to make sure I can see my comments. So if you're here, just let me know you're here. Say hello. Welcome everybody. Welcome. Just waiting on Dr. Rogers to get in so we can start this conversation. Unfortunate, unfortunately, hey, Unbothered. Hello. Thank you for being here. Hey, Latrice. Unfortunately, we have to have these conversations because it's real, and it's getting worse. And it seems like the predators just get away with it. And I've always said, whatever's not right, you got to pay for it. So this little baby, 8 years old, didn't deserve it. She did not deserve it. So we got to have these conversations, and we got to be the supporters. When we see something, we say something, and that's how it is. So everybody, as you come in, hit the like button. I would appreciate it if you would hit the like button. Um, I hope Dr. Rogers is able to get in this way. How is everybody doing? Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Let me see if I can get on my other. Man, I got two of them. Which one is it? Oh, there it is. Thank you. You like the podcast? So let me tell you about that. Um, I was creating a podcast, and then I happened to be on Larry on Grown Man Show, just listening to one of his shows. He said he created, and he gave me a link, so I created mine. It was really easy, but I'm still learning it. So thank you for going over there, and I hope you continue to be there. It's fun. I love it. I love it. See if that stays right there. Hi, Wayne. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here, Wayne. Everybody, if you will, hit the like button for me. As you all know, or maybe not, I mean, a mother and her husband was arrested for violating their 8-year-old daughter. And so, thank you. Thank you. Share it. Tell everybody. I'm trying to bring some good stuff that people want to hear, that's important. Um, so we'll just see how it goes. We just getting up and running. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, they were arrested, and we are trying to bring it to the forefront. And so we'll see what happens. Hi, everybody. Hey, K baby. Hey, Lady Jones. Y'all come on in. Where are you listening from? Let me know. Hey, Long Beach. Hey, Dennis. Way in Long Beach, California. Thank you for being here. If you will, hit the like button on your way in. And if you guys, can you hear me okay? Hey, Virginia, where else are we from? Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Hey, Stephanie. I'm good. How are you doing? I'm amazing. I am doing amazing, and I hope the same for y'all. So I'm hoping that Dr. Rogers should be in. Dr. Rogers should be coming in a little bit. Yeah, Dennis, it's is. Are you talking to me? Is it like if you're talking to me? Yes, it's been a minute. I'm good. Hi, Unique. How are you? Hi, everybody. It's so good to be here. I'm so glad to see everybody. Brad, hey, Brad. How are you? How are you doing? Hey, Jersey girl in the Poconos. Hi, everybody in the chat. Let me know where you're listening from. Missed you too, K baby. I'm glad to be here. So glad to be here. Wayne Tompkins, I think he is as well. I think the grown man is amazing. I think what he's doing is amazing, especially to reach way down in Oklahoma and do the things that he's doing to support young babies, an 8-year old. I think that I want to shout out grown man and let him know that thank you. Thank you so much. Let him know that I'm here. I'm here to do my part. We are, if we all do our part, I think it'll make a whole difference. So we got to do our part. So shout out to Larry, the grown man, um, and anybody else that is supporting this cause for the 8-year old baby. We don't want to say too much. We will have Hope calling in, who did call in last night on the Grown Man Show, and I talked to her today. I talked to um, I talked to the detective, one of the detectives. I can't really put him out there or say his name or anything, and he really didn't tell me anything because he can't. So, but I did was able to tell him. Thank you, K baby. You guys, this is going to be a good live, a positive live. It's going to be a hard conversation, but um, we're going to get through it. I'm so glad to see everybody here. Um, whoever comes, I'm thankful. Whoever don't, maybe they can watch the replay. I'm going to try to reach out to Dr. Rogers. She should be in by now because at 8:30, Hope is going to call in. Hi, Hope. Are you there? Thank you for being here, Hope. I know that you're busy and you work. We all do. So I appreciate you being here. And we're going to get started. What I'm going to do is, you guys, I'm going to mute for a second and call, see where Dr. Rogers is, and then I'll be back. So let me see. Hey, Orissa, glad you came. You got, okay, I'm gonna hang up now and let you get on. Okay, bye bye. So we got Dr. Rogers all hooked up. She's getting ready to get on. Welcome everybody to the chat. Thank you for being here on my live. We're going to have a conversation and we're going to have Miss Hope on. Hope, thank you so much for taking the time out. Thank you for everything that you're doing for your friends and for that baby. Know that it is that you will, God sees the good in you and you'll be blessed for that. You'll be blessed for it. So, talk to what's his name? Lavelle today. He called me back. So I think we're all gonna just work together and make something happen. We're gonna do what we can that is in our power to do. So across the bottom, there the cash app for the baby to donate anything you can or are willing to do is going across the bottom of the screen. If you all will really quick for just about well, if everybody will put in the chat hashtag justice for Carly, I would appreciate that. And then we're going to open the phone lines after Hope calls in and gives her little spiel. We talked to her for a minute. I'm going to open the phone lines to see what you guys think on this situation. Um, I don't care if we have 26 people or if we have two people. We're going to do this tonight. It's important. It is important. So Dr. Rogers said give her a few minutes to get in. Thank you, Jersey girl. Where's everybody calling from? Thank you, Janie Lee. The new people, yes, please hit the like button. I would appreciate it. Keep coming in, share it, like it, put just hashtag justice for Carly. Um, I hope she gets in here. Sorry, you guys, for the delay. I just wanted to make sure I was here at 8 o'clock. Thank you, Unbothered. Thank you, Dennis from California. How is the weather, Dennis? It is cold where I'm at in Oklahoma. It is cold. I happen to be in Oklahoma at this moment. Not for long, but I'm here and it's cold. Houston is beautiful. Houston's flooding. Pray for those that are affected or will be affected by the flood. I don't know. Let's see. Also, I'm gonna be bringing to you guys. So this guy in Tulsa, he beat his wife so bad. He was a lawyer, beat his wife so bad, like over and over and over, over and over and over, beating her, beating her, beating her. Went to jail. He claimed he's innocent. He sat down and wanted to have the news to come in and let him tell his story. Wanted to tell his truth, and went off on the news people, flipping him off, cussing him. They had to take him back to his cell, but he claims he's innocent. He didn't fight her or nothing, but they have all the proof where he was just being abusive to her, just would beat her. He allegedly beat her. Then he'll sit down, take a break, start beating her again. Sit down, take a break, start beating her again. It's a little cold in California. Okay, it's evening time. Just about what time is it? 6 o'clock there. 6:16. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that too. Folks are really sick in the head to mess with babies. Yes, Miss Fat. This is beginning to be a problem in the culture. Yeah, and it's just sad. Here's my thing. I can't wait for Dr. Rogers to get on here because I'm ready to talk about it. Here's my thing. The mother, like your child, you're agreeing to this. Your baby, 8 years old. And kids at 8 years old, they got to do what their mother say do. They don't know nothing else. I got to do what she told me to do. And if she say it's all right, it must be okay. Um, hey Larry, how are you? Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for being here. It's a blessing that grown man phases Lavelle were able to get their feet on the ground so quickly. Yeah, we have good intentions, and I feel like I was motivated. I was mad. It made me sick, and I was like, "What to do? What can I do?" And when I got the phone call, I was like, "I'm all over it," and I just happened to be here for the moment. So we're gonna work it out. Can you explain to me how come Homeland Security is investigating R. Kelly? They wasn't even agency back then. Oh, I don't know. I don't know that. They wasn't even an agency back then. There was no such thing until. Ooh, I don't know, Dennis. I'll find out though. I'm gonna do some investigation. I don't know about that, but I will definitely figure that out, Dennis. So I'm gonna take a look at that. So dang, I'm gonna call Dr. Rogers back. I hope she's not having difficulties. Because I hope if you wanna, it's something being sad and what happened to this. I know, and the thing about it is, she had. Thank you, K baby. She had no like she couldn't protect herself. There was nobody there to protect her. Everybody that she trusted that was supposed to protect her was violating her. And I'm telling you, when I was getting the things in my inbox and I was reading all the stuff, I would just kind of quit. I had to stop reading because I literally got sick to I almost thought I was going to throw up. Because you think about as a mother and your baby at 8 years old, they don't have control over nothing. They do what adults tell them to do. And I want to talk about that with the doctor because I want her side of the story about how. Oh, wait a minute. Here she is, y'all. There she is, my friend. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Come on. If I'm screaming, y'all, or it sounds like I'm screaming, let me know, okay? Dr. Rogers, Dr. Rogers has entered the building, but I don't think she can hear me. She's not saying nothing. Let me see. Uh-oh. She went away. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Hi, Dr. Rogers. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. Glad to see you.
Glad to see you, Miss Lady.
Yes, it's been a long time.
Yes, it has.
So we're running a little late. Hope is gonna call in. I don't know if you were able to read over the stuff or look over the
Mm.
stuff that we had. So what I want to do now that it's about 8:20 because Hope works and she's gonna
Mhm.
have to go to sleep. But what I wanted to do is just start the conversation about the topic at hand, and then at 8:30 allow her to call in, and then we're gonna get right back into hey Angie, hey Latrice, hey everybody, and then we'll get back into our conversation. Okay.
Okay.
So, you guys, I want to welcome Dr. Rogers, and we're going to talk about, being sexually abused, especially at a young age, and what prompted this conversation was the happenings in Oklahoma, and what drew me to the story. And so I thought about Dr. Rogers. I wanted to talk to someone who was licensed and had training in this area. And not only that, Dr. Rogers has shared with us that she was violated early on as well. So, Dr. Rogers, the first thing I want to talk about is I want to know, how does an 8-year old cope with such tragic traumatization to her, especially when she doesn't think it's wrong. So how does all help us make this make sense?
First I want to say hey to everybody. Hey. Um, the child being 8 years old could actually be a blessing and a curse. And I say that as someone that was going through that at that time. At 8 years old, you don't really know what's going on. So when I say a blessing and a curse, the blessing is that she doesn't know what's going on. The curse is that it happened. But at that young age, because you don't really understand that you are being violated, at that particular age, it doesn't hit you as hard as it does, and most people, um, as it does when you're older. So at 8 years old, you know that somebody is doing something that's not right. And these kids now, I'm sure they know a lot more than what we do because they're more advanced than we were. So, you know that it's not right, but it doesn't hit you the same way that it hits a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old that knows, okay, I just been raped. So
Exactly.
usually at that age, it's not until you get older and someone tells you, you've been raped. You might tell your story to somebody, or you may see somebody else's story and you're able to identify with it. And then you realize, okay, this is what happened.
Hold on
Um,
1 second, Dr. Rogers. Let me say this. I don't know who this person is, Jay, but we're not even here for that. This don't have nothing to do with none of that. And I was on that live that he did. I was watching, and that is that was totally not what was going on, but we're not here to discuss that. We're going to talk about the subject at hand. So please, moderators, please do what you have to do to keep this right. Larry, I'm glad you're here, and I understand where you're coming from. Okay, go ahead.
that's pretty much it. It's each individual situation is different, and how a person tends to cope is different. But even with that 8-year-old not really knowing that that's what it was, they may still go through. I'll say she, but since this particular girl was this
Keep
particular
talking,
child was eight,
okay?
there may be some confusion, some shame, some guilt, fear, um, just some mixed feelings. If there was anything about those situations that she might have not realizing that she got pleasure in it because she's not old enough to know that. But if there's anything about it that she kind of liked or it didn't make her feel yucky, it'll have she could have some mixed emotions from that. You have a lot of people that disassociate from that, so you'll see some disassociation, like them trying to basically like step out of themselves to try to escape that very moment. So they mentally escape from what happened.
Right.
Um,
I think what confuses me, Dr. Rogers, is that she she doesn't know that it's wrong, like you're saying. And there were some things that I saw that we can't publicize right now that we don't want to even publicize it, but in it she was saying, you know, I want Hope to come say it. I don't want to say anything wrong. I don't want to be wrong. I know it's what I saw, but I don't want to be um intruding on the baby, right? But it was said that she was like, hurry up before he comes, things like that, right? Thank you, K
mhm,
baby. Hurry up before he comes. And she was scared, sometimes. But this mother this mother
right.
allowed it, watched it, had pictures, did everything, um that she shouldn't see the light of day no more for it. And it was to keep, to me, when I looked at it, it was as though she was doing that to please him, make sure that he was, if I do all this stuff, he's gonna be good. I get to keep my man, right? So
Mhm.
you compromise your 8-year old. That's gonna be the hard part once she realizes that. So then we're talking about the coping mechanisms,
Yeah.
and how her mental health, right? All of those things.
I think, like I said, the blessing is um, that she really doesn't understand at this point. And I feel like for me, that's where my spirituality comes in, because, and if anybody doesn't want to hear this, I apologize in advance. But God has a way of protecting us mentally from certain things, especially as kids, because we're innocent. And that's what happened for me. Like I said, I knew something was wrong. I knew that what was going on, there was something that wasn't right about it. And I knew that I felt a certain way around certain people as I got older. There were certain things that, other young ladies were doing that I didn't necessarily feel comfortable doing. So as I got older, I started recognizing some things. But 8, 9, 7, like, I didn't fully understand what happened. Now, I never went through counseling as a child for that. She's going to have a different experience. This is made national news, so I'm pretty sure that somebody's going to be talking to her. So that's going to be a different element that's being put in this situation, because somebody's going to be talking to her about what happened. I'm pretty sure they're going to explain to her what happened. They're going to be asking her questions that'll make a child like really upset, asking her questions about her private parts. Did somebody touch you here? Did they do this? And usually with kids that early, you'll have therapists, they'll do something called play therapy with them. And that's when you really kind of see what's going on. You give the child dolls. You ask them if they want to play, you give them dolls. And you usually see them starting to act out what actually happened to them with those toys or whatever that they're playing with. And so that therapist or that clinician is going to start honing in on those things that they see that child doing just through simple play therapy, because that child only knows this person gave me this stuff to play with. They don't know this person is analyzing me to see what I'm doing. So I think that part is going to be different. And then it goes into what you were asking me about earlier with the trauma informed care there. Yeah. So you're taking that trauma informed care. And the one thing that they harp on with this type of approach is basically that you do no harm. You don't want to re-traumatize the victim or the survivor. And that's what usually happens in these types of cases when somebody is working with somebody and they're not properly trained. So you have people going, and I hate to say this, phases, but I mean, I have to put it this way. When something has happened to somebody and you're coming at them saying, why didn't you say something before? Why are you just saying something now?
That's what I want to talk about.
Yeah. You should have told somebody. You should have did this. You should have did that. All these shouldas. And this person has already dealt with this for years. You are re-traumatizing that person. And I don't know. Go ahead.
I don't ever mean to interrupt you, because it's but I'm glad that you're talking about that, because so many times we've said, well, why are they just now saying something, or why did they just now come out? Like, that doesn't make sense to us. But if we haven't been in their shoes, then we don't understand that. And I wanted to ask you, as being a real victim, why don't they come out? Why does it take so long to come out? But you just made it plain that I'm already dealing with it.
Right.
And now I don't even know how to come out. I don't even know how to tell somebody about it.
Right. The thing you have as you progress into adulthood, you're really trying to figure out, because now this has been repressed all this time, right? So you're bringing this stuff out now when you're sitting here and you're asking yourself, okay, was I raped? Was I molested? Is that what happened? And now you're trying to go back and trying to remember all this stuff that happened. And remember, you have like intentionally that this has become your defense mechanism to push all this trauma in the back of your head. Wow. So that it won't affect you on a day-to-day basis. So now you're having to try to come and pull all these memories back up, memories that your mind has been protecting you from all this time. So it's different, and there's definitely a degree of shame and guilt that comes along. And the guilt isn't about what the person did. The guilt is about what you feel you allowed a person to do to you. Wow. And it has to really sink in that as a child, you had no control over that. There was nothing you could do to prevent that grown person from doing whatever it is that they did. There's nothing that you did to provoke that grown person to make them want to do whatever they did. And that's what a lot of people end up struggling with, and why a lot of people don't say anything. And because they waited so long, people aren't going to believe them, So that's, you have a lot of that thinking going on.
Wow. So it's like a roller coaster of emotions,
Yeah.
and you just don't know how to deal with them, and there's so much coming at you. And so what I want to do is I want to pause and hope if you're there, go ahead and call my phone, the phone number, either phone number that I gave you, because I want you to kind of walk us through what's going on currently, and talk about what you've already talked about and what you can talk about. So hope if you hear me, go ahead and call in. We'll take a break right now to allow you to call in, because I want Dr. Rogers to also hear what you have to say so that we can elaborate on that a little bit more. But Dr. Rogers, I think that when you speak about it, and I thought that it was important for you to be here as being a victim, because you can speak to what your emotions were, plus your doctrine, you've dealt with kids in that situation. And everybody's different. Everybody
Right.
deals with situations different. It's just like death. People deal with it and they grieve differently. It's no different
Exactly.
than that. And so I also, Larry, if you're still here after we talk to Hope, I also want to talk about the charges. If you will call in, Larry, I would really appreciate that, to talk about the charges, because Dr. Rogers, the mother's charges were way less than what the boyfriend, here she is, this is Hope, what her charges were. And I don't think she should be exempt from anything. So we'll talk about that too.
Okay.
Hey, Hope,
Hey,
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm trying to get you back on so we can hear you.
Oh, hold on. My Bluetooth cut off. Wait a minute.
Okay. Can you guys hear Hope? If you can hear me, hear her, okay. Put a thumbs up if you can hear, okay.
Can you hear me?
Can everybody hear? Dr. Rogers, can you hear her?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she can hear you too. So Hope, I appreciate you getting back with me. Larry was able to get us connected. So thanks again, to shout out to Larry. He's doing a lot. And so I heard you, I didn't get to be on the live with you guys, but I went back and listened. And there was a lot of stuff that I was wanting you to discuss. Everything that you kind of discussed there. Um, can you kind of fill us in here, because we have kind of two different audiences, and just
Right.
kind of tell us what you can tell us, and let's talk about the charges as well.
Um. So the charges really kind of annoy me because, especially for the mother, because you know they should be more than what they are, and they probably will be, hopefully in the future. But that's kind of what this fight for justice is really. Um, the child is fine. She's safe. Um, while we're talking about the psychological effects of um, child abuse, whether it's physical or sexual, um, the sad part about this particular child is that she she really doesn't know that anything bad happened to her.
Mhm.
Like, there were absolutely no signs that she was being abused that anybody could have noticed, because this was, instilled in her to be normal, normal things that parents do, I guess. um so let's see. I do better when I'm tired of you asking me questions and then I
Okay,
answer them.
that's fine. That's good.
I'm sorry.
That's good. So I wanted to know, how was it that, and if you, whatever we ask, you just say you can't answer it if it's not right, okay? Because I don't know what you can and can't answer. But I want to
Right.
know, did the child, she had to have gone to school, right? She had to
Yeah.
have, did she go around other family members? I mean, there, so when you say absolutely no signs, like she just was normal, play with kids, did everything else other kids did?
I mean, as far as I know, and I'm not there and I don't live her life with her, but from what I've been told by the family member that has her now and stuff like that, I mean, she had a normal child routine. She went to school, she loves to dance, she had a normal routine for a child. And the I said that she was showing no signs of abuse, I say that because this took the whole community by surprise. You know what I mean? Like when they found these text messages, it was like, what in the world is this? Like everybody was in shock, because nobody would have even thought it. So even after they removed her and the parents were arrested, she did go to school after that. And from what I understand, or they said that she was the same as she is every day, even after the fact that the parents were arrested. You know,
What does she think? So if she's being normal and she knows that she was taken from her mom and this guy, I'd hate to even call their names, but she was taken from them. What does she think is going on with her mom then? Why that she's where she's at today?
What I was told was that she believes her mom is in jail for marijuana.
Okay. Okay. And my other question is I got a call. Actually he was in my inbox and he said, I know the biological father, and he is trying to get custody of this baby. What can you tell us about the biological father?
Honestly, I can't tell you anything about the biological father because from what I understand, is that he wasn't in the picture. Like he's never, from everybody that I've spoken to, in the family, that that he's never been around.
Right.
And the last that they knew, that he was running from the police because he's wanted for something.
Right.
So that, but I don't know that part of the family, so I don't know that man. I don't even know who he is, what his name is.
That's
I don't
fair.
know anything about him at all.
That's fair. Also, I was gonna ask you, God, I got so many questions. What was I gonna ask you? Oh, so also the step, okay, so I believe the baby has a stepsister. And the mother reached out and said that people are getting her daughter mixed up with the actual one that it happened to. And she wanted to make sure that people child, but it is definitely her stepsister.
So
can you talk about that?
Kendall has one biological child that even his baby's mother knows of. This child was not Kendall's. This was Kendall's stepchild. It wasn't even his. So his biological child and that he has with an individual, they're not even able to go to school right now because they're being bullied. They're being threatened. And the pictures that first went around social media that were shared and went, viral are pictures of his biological child's baby's mother.
So not,
his biological child and her son, which isn't Kendall's, but they, he was with, he knew Kendall for like 10 years until they split up. So those two children, the biological child of Kendall and her brother, are not even able to attend school because of the bullying, the threats, the thing that, because their photos are the ones that went viral.
Right, that's what she was saying. So I think, and when I talked to the detective said, because I was gonna do it, I was gonna post some stuff, but he made so much sense. He was like, you don't want to post pictures, which I didn't have. I had pictures of the other kids, but you don't want to post pictures of them or Carly. You don't want to post the text messages that you see because it only hurts the kids, and that makes so much sense. But my question, I guess, go ahead.
And last night when I was on the Grown Man Show, I did speak with the biological mother, and she did tell me about this problem, and we discussed it, and she just doesn't want her children to hurt. She doesn't want to see her children hurt, like they're being hurt, So she did allow us to put those pictures, only the ones that were already in social media,
right?
Because she sent them to me. She did allow them to get put up, and he did put them up only for a few moments,
right?
to let people know that that is not the victim, like that's because that's why they're getting bullied, is like they're sending the messages to their phone, the little girl's phone, saying, I'm going to tell everybody your daddy's
Oh
secret
my gosh.
and stuff like that. And so it's like,
Horrible.
it is it's a horrible situation,
It's
for all of them. And they're Carly's getting therapy, and so is the biological child, and
so
so
is the person that I have two questions, but I'll ask them one at a time, and I know you have to go. But is
I'm fine.
the person that the baby's with, will they go to therapy as well to know how to cope, how to deal with Carly? Because I feel like, and Dr. Rogers, maybe you chime in. I feel like whoever's care she's in, that they should be getting some kind of help too to know how to deal with this stuff.
So I'm going to say yes to that, because that would only make sense. You can't get therapy for the child and not be there with them, to help them through it. But also, um, personal experience is the best experience.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, like, I think that where she is, it's a really good place for her, because, um, you know, people have similar situations in their lives, and we're just, we're gonna go hard for her, and
Yeah.
they're all gonna get therapy together. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm glad to hear that. And you're right. We're going to go hard, how whatever we need to do to be able to do our part, whatever's in our power to do. I'm willing to be on board with that as well. So I want to know this about Kendall. If he's that obsessed with an 8-year old and doing these things, and because the way he talked in those text messages made me sick. Now, are you afraid for his children, his biological children? Were they ever around him to
Yeah.
maybe possibly be violated and don't know?
So, I don't know Kendall personally.
Okay.
I lived in Bartlesville for over a decade. I know of him, but I don't know him personally. As far as the second part of that question, um, naturally, of course, anytime something like this comes up about, your baby's father being a pedophile and having an attraction to 8-year olds, you're going to get your children therapy to see if maybe that did occur. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they're, like I said, the biological child is going to be getting counseling and help. As of right now, um, there's no there's nothing about that, you know that would show that. Veli's calling me, but but she's gonna go to therapy. As of right now, we don't think, you know
Okay.
but you never know.
Okay.
So
This is good. So we talked about the courts. People are wondering, did they make bond or have they made bond? What I can say is that they have not made bond as of now, and I just believe the bonds are too high, set too high for them to get out. But I talked to the detective, one of the detectives, and I asked. My question was, because Bartlesville is a very small town in Oklahoma, and everybody knows everybody, and we wonder about the crime, this type of crime happening in this town, like, because this is a big deal. And he said that it hadn't been like a really big deal, like it happens, but it's on the rise. So what do you do to get out in front of that, right, to keep it from happening?
right,
I feel like it's a parent's responsibility to protect their child. Like, you have to be protecting your daughters and your son, even your sons. And like, if an 8-year-old doesn't know to go say something, because they do what their parents say to do, right?
right.
So
So I think that, um, Bartlesville is a very small town. It's full of, a drug problem.
yes,
Um,
it's a meth
you know,
epidemic.
mental illness.
Yes.
So I think that there probably is a lot more of this going on that hasn't came to light. But I also think that, back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if people reported stuff like this, I don't think that at that time, um, it was taken seriously for some reason because they would just think it's unruly kids. They're just saying this to get attention, stuff like that.
Well,
I think that
I can believe that because of the charges the mom get. They didn't even give her the charges that that is due to her.
exactly, and that is the problem.
That's a
Like, okay,
problem.
so here's the real question, and this is what I was thinking about today. You know what I mean? And I'm a nurse, and I've been, I've worked with psych patients and stuff like that. But I was thinking to myself today, like thinking about abuse cycles and stuff like that. And if you see that the majority of the people who are convicted of pedophilia or abusing children sexually are men, you kind of have to sit back and think like people learn what they're taught. Um,
That's true.
even with abuse, be it domestic violence, be it child abuse, whatever. If you abuse your kids physically, people learn what they're taught, and parents, maybe not in this era, but I know when I was growing up, I'm 45 years old,
Mm-hmm.
but you learn what you're taught, and that is your parents are your role models. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So you have to sit and wonder if these older people that are getting, these older men that are getting, that are sex offenders, that are abusing children sexually, like, who abused them to make them that way?
Mm-hmm.
So
You're right. And but then they also want to blame it on the drugs. Say, well, oh, they were on drugs and they didn't
now,
know what they were
yes. And
doing.
so the big thing is now is that I have an acquaintance,
Mm-hmm.
and he was my maintenance man when I was on a contract in a different city, not even in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
But he had a meth problem, and next thing I know, he has the FBI coming to his house because he has like he's being charged with all of these having these children's pictures, nude pictures.
Uh-huh. Pornography,
And
child pornography.
yes, child pornography. And I'm like, what in the world? And so even after he all this happened, he told me that when you're on meth, you don't, things are different. I could never wrap my head around it because I've never even wanted to try it. But
Right.
it's like they do blame it on the drugs, and some of that there might be some truth to that. You know what I mean? But you cannot use your drug problem as a scapegoat for why you touched a child. It's still unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
You still deserve to be. You deserve the worst.
Absolutely.
Regardless of the reasoning, you deserve the worst. Yeah. There's no excuse. There's none at all.
That's
just none.
Right,
and that's my fear going. That's my fear with these poor kids is that they get touched, they get sexually abused, and then their parents are on drugs, so let's just send them to drug rehab, and they'll never do it again. But
they need
the child
therapy
is
too.
scarred for life. The child is scarred for life.
Yeah.
Like that mother is, what she should. That was just it's unacceptable.
It's unacceptable.
That's your mom. That you're supposed to protect your children. Like that's who you.
Right.
It's just frustrating, girl.
And it is. It's frustrating and sickening. But I hope. Thank you for being here. I'm gonna get back to Dr. Rogers. She's taking a lot of notes. Please stay in touch, and I'll stay in touch with you. and with Larry and with Valley and everything, we'll just keep in touch as this thing unfolds. I will be attending the court dates while I'm here, as much as I can. But when I leave, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing from afar. But anyway, Hope,
Right.
thank you for your time. Thank you for the information that you have shared with us. We have the Cash App going down below the screen and the PayPal. When you get the PO box number, just let me know. Of course, I'm sure
Okay,
you'll let Larry
so
know.
I texted you about that,
Oh,
and due to security reasons,
yes.
it's been told to not post the PO box on
Got it.
public
Right.
platforms.
Makes sense.
So
Makes
so
sense.
that's that for right
Okay.
now.
Well, that's okay. We got the Cash App, we got the PayPal. We're going to keep hashtagging justice for Carly. We'll stay in touch with you. Anything unfolds that I'm not aware of, please let me know. Stay in touch, of course, with Larry for sure. And we'll go from here.
Okay, and just read that text that I
I
sent you
will.
about the post office box.
Sure will. And thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so there you have it. Dr. Rogers, what do you think?
I want to say a couple of things, just really quick. The victim with the victim assistance program, they're going to get that therapy, right? And she's a child, so they're going to make sure that she gets that therapy. That therapy is not done with an adult. The goal is to try to make the child feel comfortable and make them comfortable enough with the therapist that they'll be willing to share those things that they wouldn't tell other people. And when a child has already been victimized by an adult figure, especially a parental figure, it's kind of counterproductive to bring another authority figure into that counseling session with them. Because the goal is to get them to open up and feel comfortable with that counselor.
It's just
initially
all the way around. It's just crazy.
Yeah. So they may bring the adult in later,
Mm-hmm.
but initially the goal is to focus on that child, not so much the caregiver.
Okay.
So you'll work with them first, and hopefully they'll actually do family counseling, not just counseling for the child, but they'll also do family counseling. That's where the caretaker will come in at. But you definitely don't want to have them in there, because what if the child says, oh, well, they did something too? Or what if they did do something? Because you have parents that are guilty that actually sit in to make sure that their child says the right thing. That's why you don't let them come in there.
Gosh, that makes sense.
Initially, some of the kids, like depending on what kind of center it is, they may be able to watch through a glass, like during an initial interview. But other than that, they're not involved in that process, because kids tend to shut down on stuff like that when they have a parent around, because they're already ashamed. They think their parents don't believe them. They think the parents may blame them for what they did. Like they had some kind of part in it. They're already confused. Well, if this parent did it to me, or this adult person did it to me, then why wouldn't I think you would do it to me too? So it's a lot. And then when you put the shame on top of that.
Yeah. Somebody in the comments says, I have to disagree. An assessment has to be done on both the child and the parents. And so I'll just say, I think I agree to that, but I think it's a process, is what Dr. Rogers is saying. So maybe that's something separately, Dr. Rogers?
That the initial focus, and I want to be clear on this.
Okay.
I do this in real life. I'm not talking behind anybody.
Right.
The focus is on the child. That child is going to be interviewed. The parents at this point with the counselor are a non-factor at this particular time. Your focus is on that child.
Okay.
When you bring them together for family counseling, that's where the adult comes in at. And the adult for family counseling in that type of situation, unless there's something in place that says, oh, we need to focus on this adult too, they're not being assessed because they're not the victim.
Okay.
It's all about that child being assessed. Now, if that caregiver says, you know what, I need something, I need to be able to deal with this too, because I'm feeling some type of way, I feel like I need to have individual counseling, then they're going to receive separate individual counseling. And that counseling may not even be about that child's abuse. That caregiver could have dealt with some type of abuse and it triggers something in that caregiver. So you don't mix the two because you don't want that caregiver's baggage or whatever they have going on to override what this child has going on, because the child is the most important thing at that particular time.
Right. I was able to talk to the founder and CEO of Saving Our Children or Saving Our Youth or something. I'm sorry that if I'm saying it wrong. Who has really gotten involved with this case as well? I'm doing a lot
Yeah.
with like the families of sexually abused children. Have seen a lot. Have seen like the children after abuse. And so I just want everyone to know he will be on the show to talk more about this and other things. Um, but this case to me, I don't think I've known of, not in Oklahoma, well, not in Bartlesville, of a case, and maybe I just don't know, but that a mother would say, I can't wait to see, the things you're going to do to her, or, make sure she sleep, taking pictures while she sleep, all this stuff, a mother. And I think that's why I'm sickened by it, even more so.
So I wanted to touch on that for a minute. A lot of times, not all the time, I would never say 100% of the time, but a lot of times when you have moms that are willing to give their daughter to other people,
To keep her
that's
protected.
usually what has been done to them.
So that was a
So it's
question. That question came up, and then we don't have the answer yet. Did this happen
right.
to her?
So usually, it's not always the case, but
Okay.
usually. But you do have some people whose self-esteem is so low that they feel like they have to compromise or they have to um, basically do whatever they need to do. But there's always something behind that. It's not just, oh, I'm good. There's always
Oh yeah.
another layer to the
Well,
story when it comes to that.
yeah, and that's what Hope I think was saying too. She was saying it had to be something that happened to them prior. But I feel like when that's the case, they didn't get the help they needed, right? When if anything happened to them, they didn't get the help they needed in order to prevent what they're doing now. Does
Well,
that make
that's the
sense?
case for most people in the Black community, to be honest. That's
Yeah.
that's the case because one of the things that I talked about before, abuse is more common than not. Sexual abuse is more common than not in our community. And especially for the women, we've developed this superwoman syndrome, and we carry all this stuff on our back and we go about our day to day. The thing that she was saying, like the girl was acting normal, or that she was fine, that's what I was referring to. If I never came out to you and told you that something happened to me, you would have never known. Just
Right.
like this little girl, if
Right.
somebody wouldn't have seen those text messages,
Right.
you would have never known. You can't be afraid of something or fear something that you don't know about. You
Mm-hmm.
understand what I'm saying? So that's why you have to keep telling the little child that that fire is hot. They don't understand hot until they touch that fire and get burned. And then they understand, oh, hot, stay away. I understand. I learned that. You
Yeah.
think about
Right.
kids that end up being, or people that end up being racist. You're not taught that. You have to learn that this type of behavior is racist and to do that. So it's the same thing when it comes down to it. If I don't know that this is nasty, because you have a lot of parents that aren't comfortable having those conversations with their kids, or they just don't have time. I
Right.
got too much going on in my day to day to sit down and have a conversation with you to let you know if somebody touches you to do this. But how
Here's
can you have
why.
that conversation when you're the one that's doing it? How can you have that conversation with that child?
That's it. And
So
if you're not doing it, and I'm sorry, Dr. Rogers, to cut you off, but if you're not doing it, if you're not the parent doing it, you better make some time to have that conversation. You ain't nothing to make me too busy to get in my kid's face and tell them the blatant truth about the things that go on around us that they need to look out for. That it's okay to tell me
it's
anything they
important.
want to tell me. And I wanted to recognize KRKD. He says the Black community has a habit of wanting to keep it under wraps. Like A lot of
Hmm.
things that happen, they just want to sweep it under the rugs. You might have grown up in a place where they say, "Don't you talk outside this house. Our business is
Exactly.
our business, and it stays in this house." So kids are not talking about it. So
Right.
that's a true statement.
And I wanted to touch on something else that you said and Hope said as well. So when it comes to this other case that everybody's been talking about, I won't mention the name of the case, but when it comes to this other case, that's where my fight comes in for justice. We put so much stock into coming after men hard when it comes to this. And I have done video after video after video, one specific video just showing women committing these crimes and the amount of time that they were given and what they were able to plead down to. And you have these men sitting here doing stuff. I posted something last week, and it was a story of another guy and a woman that were molesting a 5 and a 7-year-old. Well, the woman was already molesting the 5-year-old, and she was sending messages to this guy, setting up stuff for him to molest the 5 and the 7-year-old. Right, this was her boyfriend. These were her ex-wife, her ex-husband's kids. And so you have this, and all you saw in the paper was this man was caught on the airplane, getting text messages and sending text messages about molesting kids. And there was no emphasis placed on this lady. She was the one that actually admitted to sexually abusing the 5-year-old little girl. The man actually backed out. He backed out at the end, but he still received the mandatory minimum of 15 years, right?
Right.
When you read their stories in the paper, all you hear them talking about is this man. Just like you have this mother right here that was actively involved, and you should have more charges because you are pimping out your child. This is not this little girl's daddy. So you are doing this, you are producing child pornography, you are disseminating. I mean, you got all this mess going on, and again, the focus tends to just be on the man because that, as a society, that's where we put our focus at, just
Wow.
focusing on the men, like women aren't doing things to kids. And if we start giving these women, these mamas, grandmas, aunties, whoever, if we start giving them the same penalties that these men get, because you're doing an even greater disservice to this child by her having to come to the
Absolutely.
realization that her mama allowed this to happen. You're
Absolutely.
going to have more anger towards your mama for giving
Yes,
you to this man.
that's right.
That's
And this
what makes the little girl think it's okay.
is it, because her mama says it's okay. This
My
is a
mama
great,
gave me permission to do it.
that's right. This is a great segue into the charges that have been brought up against these two people. Larry, if you're listening, go ahead and call in. But the woman's charges, the mother's charges, are way less than this man's charges. But she was just as guilty as he was, and she did some things too. Why is it that because she's a man? I mean, because she's a woman and he's a man, so he had to be the one to egg it on. But this woman was all in. If I was trying to send them to you because we don't want to share them publicly, but I don't know if you would be able to read all the way through them. That's how sickening it was. And for a mother to do that. So Larry, call in and let's talk about the charges. There are several charges that has been brought against him. You know, child pornography, sexual, explicit something. But Larry has the exact charges I want you to
I
hear.
I can tell you that my first cousin, she was also abused by the same cousin that abused me, but it was her uncle.
Okay.
When she stayed with her mom in Philadelphia, her mom gave her away.
To the
Yeah.
uncle.
No, to her
So
husband, to her
oh,
husband, and some other people, as a matter of fact. And
listen,
there was some substance use involved.
I don't need a man that bad. I ain't hungry for a man that bad.
It
No,
wasn't so much for a man, it was for the substances.
for the
She traded her child out for drugs.
for drugs. I've heard that.
Um,
I've heard people do that. I've heard
it
of people
happens a
do
lot.
that.
It
What
happens a
happened
lot.
to the cousin? what happened with the cousin or the uncle that have that it that did that to you? That's what it's.
Um, for the people that follow my page, she actually pops in on my page. You'll see her saying something on there. She's going to tell her story. She has a story that seems like it's made for TV. I She went through a lot. That's all I can say. And I would rather her tell that story. But it got to the place where it had gotten so bad that she had to fight her mom, and she darn near killed her. Um,
Ew,
and we had
that's
to go to
ugly.
Philly and get her. We had to
Oh,
go and get her. But it affected her so much. As I mean, she really went through, still going through, as a matter of fact. Um, the cousin that did it to me and did it to her, he's actually in prison, but he's not in prison for us. He's in prison for something else. He's actually in prison for a crime he didn't commit. You know?
well, he's paying for what he didn't do. Let's put it like that. That's a
Yeah.
shame. It's a
Yeah.
shame. Was it
So
that? Was it that he was never? Because I'm kind of curious about why. Did he ever have to answer for violating you or your cousin?
no,
They
because
never.
that's the thing. That's the thing that I was saying. When we were younger, we didn't recognize it. We didn't
Got
know that that's what he was doing. We just knew that whenever we saw him coming, we needed to get away from him. And that was like the major thing. And that's what I was saying with the disassociation. Because I can't tell you about any of the times that he did all this stuff. There's only one specific situation that I remember. One.
Mm-hmm.
And that one I can't get out of my mind.
Yeah.
So you just, I think grown man is on now.
Is he? If you hear Larry, please call because we want to talk about the charges that have been brought against Kendall and Ashley Burnett. That's their names. I hate to even say their names. I'm so put out with them. But if you can call, if you're available, go ahead and call in and let's talk about what the charges are on both of them so we can compare them. Just to show that for some reason they're being a little lighter on her. Although the charges she has are pretty heavy, but they're being lighter. I think that they both need to be charged with everything because the evidence is there. They
I
have
think
all the.
I haven't seen all their charges, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be charged both state and federally. I'm
So
pretty
that's
sure.
what Larry was talking about as well, and he's
Yeah.
calling in. So we're gonna let him in. Hey, Larry.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty
Good, and I want to apologize for you out the gate about the comment that was made. It's just it's ridiculous, and
Yes, it's birthday now. It's okay.
yeah,
I don't mind.
and I'm so sorry about that.
No, it's no problem.
But anyway,
I'm just glad you're bringing attention to this situation. It's kind of taking a life of its own. They are coming together, corralling around this family, corralling around this little girl. She gonna need all of us. We raised some money last night. We'll be raising more money tomorrow, all the way into next week. I will be on Lavelle's television radio show in the morning,
okay,
and I will be in Oklahoma next week.
perfect. So I want to talk about the charges that were brought up about these two. I want you, if you will, to go ahead and tell us what both of their charges is, and I want to talk about that.
Okay, no problem. Well, he's had minor charges in the past in 2007, but they were dismissed. These new charges, he's charged with 2 counts of child sexual abuse. He's charged with performing a lewd act in the presence of a minor. He's charged with obscene material published, distribute, and participate. He's charged with conspiracy to possession of a controlled dangerous substance, bail jumping, and unlawful possession paraphernalia. That's what he's charged with.
Wow.
I did talk to Lavelle about that, and he did go out to dinner with the family and with the girls and all of that. He told me that the detective was just trying to hurry up and get him out of there, but that's not the end of his charges.
they could possibly come back and give him more charges.
Okay.
If they don't do that, then I have another method to get him the proper charges that he deserves. He gonna get them one way or another.
One way or the other, because it's not right. And I don't know
Right.
why, because for me, they have the evidence that they need to put all of the charges. Do not leave anything, cross all your T's, dot all your I's when you're charging him, because you have the evidence that you need to do that.
Right. Her charges bother me a little, but I mean, it just, I don't know if she went down there and told on him once they got both of them down there.
Could have been.
Reason why, yeah. But she's charged with enabling child sexual abuse, child sexual exploitation, performing lewd act in the presence of a minor, obscene material procuring, conspiracy and possession of a controlled dangerous substance, and unlawful possession of drug paraphernalia. That's what she's charged
That's
with.
it.
Right.
Yeah, they're not finished charging her.
They can't be.
Right. But these charges, what I see in these charges is based on what was in the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Any other charges, really, and I know they're not going to question a minor that young, and they don't have an eyewitness. So really, any other charges that they would give them would be hearsay if it's not recorded. I hate to say that, but
except while they're working with this child in therapy,
right.
if this child says in therapy that something else was done to her, they're going to be charged.
Yeah, and I hope that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that's the case. I talked to Miss Hope a little earlier. I did email back and forth with and I'm gonna need you for that, Miss Phases, because the biological mom, Kendall Kids, see if I can't pull that up on my screen.
So she inboxed me, the mom.
She did?
Yes.
She did. Did she tell you what she wanted?
Well, she told me some of it about her kids, what she wanted me to, what I could say.
No, okay. See, she told me it wasn't about that. It's what she needs.
Okay.
And I'm not familiar with that area.
Okay.
So I couldn't really I couldn't really deal, because it was like, I guess it was like 4:00.
Yeah.
When she hit me, but she wants information on therapy services in her area.
I can get that. So, I can get that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I will be talking to her tomorrow.
Okay.
I don't know. Just doing the best I can. I'll try to, do everything I can do. I hate it. And we're gonna move forward.
Well, it sounds good. And just know that it right now, this is not about whose side, if I'm Team Truth, because I'm not, and all that stuff. I don't care about that, because I'm going to get it. If I cared about it, I wouldn't have you here. I don't care about that. This is about an 8-year-old that's been violated, and this is about supporting that family, and it's about the kids, and it's about that's all this is about. And so whatever I'm needed on this end, I'm in.
Right.
I'm all in.
And I want to let you know how much I appreciate it, and I really, 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 I'm happy to see you, and I appreciate that, because this is what we need more of and less than the other stuff.
Yes.
I'm actually tired of it.
Yeah.
I'm about a week away from being.
Yeah, I'm over it.
I'm over it. I'm kind of over it too.
Yeah, I'm over it.
But I'm gonna coordinate with you tomorrow. It's a lot of things happening tomorrow. It is a PO box.
Right. Let us know that.
Right, and it can't be out. So the people that contact you by email, if they are serious about, okay, we'll figure that out.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Hey, Ms. Rogers.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing? Sorry, but I didn't get a chance to tell you in person. You have my condolences on your brother. I could tell by your video and your film. You loved him very much, and I could tell that he loved you. And I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Same to you with your granddad.
Oh man. Thank you. I appreciate it. But let's keep moving forward, man. I'm glad to see both of y'all back on the screen.
Well, I'm glad to be here for such a cause. You know, I'm sad. Right. I'm sad that this is what it's about, but it has to be talked about, and so that it doesn't be swept under the rug again.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you talk to Lavelle?
Yes,
next week?
I did. I talked to him a little bit earlier, and he's also going to come on Phases. Do a little bit, talk a little bit about his stuff too.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll be on there in the morning.
I'll be watching. Okay. All right. Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right. You too.
All right, you guys. So, Dr. Rogers, it seems like it looks like that there'll be more charges coming. Because I feel like if they're gonna, you know, if therapy is what it says it is, then they'll be able to get what they need from the 8-year-old in a way that it doesn't put her, you know, through too much more. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, there are things that are said in therapy, like I said, and if that other adult was sitting in there and was a part of that, it might not come out. So if that child says in that therapy session that the mom did something or put some more information out there,
yeah,
I mean, it is what it is.
It's what
the child is the witness. I mean,
well, Dr. Rogers, I appreciate you being here. Like, you opened my eyes to a lot of stuff, and it had to come from someone that had actually been through it for the questions that I had, because I'm like, how does an 8-year-old explain that to somebody? And then what's their mental capacity like? And whenever you look at it from this aspect, that she doesn't even think it's wrong or that anything's wrong because it just seems right because my mama says it's right. So it got to be right. You know, that's tough. That's tough.
And the thing, we see it as a bad thing. Like I said, I see it as a way of us being protected as kids. We weren't protected from that physical thing, but mentally we're being protected. And that's the only way that I can think of. Like I said, I didn't tell mom. I was in my 30s when I told my mom. You know, I hadn't been with my husband for a while before he found out. I told him some things, but I never came out all the way with it. But at some point, you have to say something because it affects you in certain ways.
And then you got them wondering what's going on with you.
Right.
And you ain't said anything.
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I see a lot of people questioning people. You have to be careful with that. And that's why I say whenever it comes to certain things, you're not going to hear me saying, no, they shouldn't do this. They shouldn't. No, that's not our call. It's not our call. But one of the things that I did want to go through, and I made sure I wrote them down so I could touch on the things that I could identify with. Okay. One of the things that you had said to me, reasons for not reporting abuse. I'm going to go and look at this from a child standpoint, not from an adult standpoint.
Okay.
For a child.
Okay.
You have confusion. I don't even know if something happened to me that was inappropriate. So what am I going to tell my parents?
True.
And in this situation, who do I go and tell? If my parent is involved, then who am I supposed to go to? So you got confusion.
Right. Confusion. And real quick, I'm going to let you go through that. And you got the mama and the man in her life that says, I'm the man that you're supposed to be your protector, right? Because that's all she knew.
Who do you go to? The father was absent.
So who you go? That's it. Okay, go ahead.
Who do you go to? And now to like come flying in, wanting to be savior, she's going to be distrustful anyway. She's not going to trust certain guys. And for you to come in and you haven't been there, then you will get your feelings hurt because she's not responding to you the way that you want her to, because you want to come in and play savior now. It doesn't work like that. And it's going to affect her relationships that she has with men way down the road. And she won't even realize what's going on until she really understands what happened to her. The next thing will be shame. You embarrassed about what happened, and not only embarrassed, but you feel helpless. How can you get this grown person off you? What can I do? If I say, mommy, help me, and mommy's sitting there with her arms crossed and she taking pictures or whatever, then now you got me feeling bad because I feel helpless, and you also making me shame because it's something about my body, and I mentioned this before, it's something about my body or something about me that made this man want to do this stuff to me. So now I'm ashamed of my body, and I feel like I got to cover up.
God.
So now you got the shame.
True.
The third thing is blame. Self-blame. You blaming yourself for what happened. Because you're not old enough to understand or even process the fact that there is nothing that you did as an 8-year-old to make somebody of that age, a grown person that knows better. There was nothing you did as an 8-year-old to make that person lust for you. But you're not old enough to understand that yet. Yeah. The next thing I wanted to put up there was fear. You may have been threatened. You better not tell your mama. You better not tell this. You better not tell nobody. That happens a lot. You also have the intimidation. They don't have to threaten you. You better not say anything. A threat doesn't have to come behind it.
And in this situation, she was threatened. If you say something, I'm going to take your phone from now on.
But see, that's not a threat of violence. So that's
right.
More intimidation. Okay, you don't take my phone, but it's still a threat nonetheless, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now you have the fear of if your mom wasn't involved and it was somebody else. Now you got the fear of the consequence that's going to come behind it if you do go tell somebody. Because when you have women that are involved in this thing and they're all about doing this to keep a man or because they have low self-esteem and it comes along with trying to keep that man, a lot of these women punish their kids for telling them the truth. Why are you lying on him? Don't go saying stuff like that about him. You're trying to break us up. Do you really want your mom to be lonely? Do you really want to do this to your mom? Do you really want to get him put in jail? Do you know what that'll do to your mom? They're worried about the consequences. They're fearful.
Psychological. Now that's psychological.
Now the mom is doing the same type of manipulation that the man is doing. It's just in a different form, right? So then you're going to go from this and you're going to go into these feelings, okay? Now, I don't understand what sex is. And I know that this is wrong. But there's something that this guy did that kind of made me tingle a little bit, right? I don't understand my body yet. But it was something that felt kind of funny, but I kind of, So now I'm feeling bad because I have any type of feelings coming from my body. I might have, wait a minute, it's not until you get older that you realize, because there's certain things if somebody does to anybody, it's going to arouse certain things. And at 8, as a female, you just starting to get to the place where stuff's starting to feel out just a little bit. You starting to have certain types of feelings. So now you got a child that's sitting up here and they're feeling like because they got any type of pleasure out of this, now they're feeling guilty about having that because they have these feelings that they have no control over. Right. So they're not going to say anything because they upset because I shouldn't have felt anything because it was bad.
Come on.
Now you're going to take this one and you're going to go a little bit further because since I had feelings, does that mean that I gave him consent?
Oh.
So now I'm questioning myself on that.
That's deep.
Then we're going to take this and then we go back to that disassociation, that thing. I got to disconnect myself from this because if I disconnect myself, then it really didn't happen.
Right. Oh my God.
When we talk about that disassociation, that's just like I'm having a daydream and that daydream is taking me out of this nightmare only for 3 minutes. It's taking me out of that nightmare that I've been living through. So if I can disassociate myself from this whole situation and act like it never happened, right here, act like it never happened, then I can move on. It's a coping and it's a defense mechanism. And believe it or not, it works.
Right.
But at some point, that monster gonna catch up with you. It catches up with you, and when it hits you hard.
Right.
And that's what a lot of survivors, because I don't consider myself a victim. That's what a lot of survivors have to deal with, because now you had these mental escapes all your life. But what are you going to do when you can't run from it anymore? What are you going to do when you have a husband or a boyfriend, speaking as a female, that wants to know why you don't want to have this affection? What are you going to do when he wants to know why you want the lights off all the time? What are you going to do when he wants to know why you won't do things that his other girlfriends always did? If you don't sit down and have that conversation, you have a lot of ruined relationships because you didn't feel comfortable enough, because you never dealt with what happened.
Right.
And as a man, they don't understand that.
That's right.
Why should they? You didn't tell them. And you can't tell them because you don't understand. Because you didn't deal with it, right?
Golly, that makes so much sense.
The last two, denial, which goes back to the disassociation. It never happened. That's why I ain't say nothing. It never happened. Y'all might have said something happened.
Right.
That didn't happen. Because it made me feel better saying that it didn't happen. So if I block all that out.
Yeah. Regardless of what everybody else thinks, if I can say it never happened, I'm good.
It never happened, right?
But then it comes back. Somewhere down the line, it eats you alive. I don't
tell
know
myself that it didn't happen. But that's where you have ruined relationships. That's where you have yourself acting out sometimes inappropriately. That's where you have a lot of young females that turn to promiscuity because they haven't dealt with these things.
True.
And now what you're doing is, which goes back to this trauma-informed thing, whenever somebody goes through a specific type of trauma, it's traumatic to them because they had no control over it.
Right.
And the worst thing that happens to us, for us to be in a position where we feel like we have lost all control. You understand what I'm saying? So when it comes to somebody that has been sexually abused, you did not have control of that situation, because if you did, it wouldn't have happened, right?
Right.
So at that point, that's how that perpetrator is able to get inside your head, by letting you know at this particular point, you have no control. And trying to get that control back is a beast. So when you come into that trauma-informed care, one of the first goals in that thing is to make sure that this client knows that they have some control. So when I say that the parent can't come in, if that child, no, I don't want them in here. We're going to say, you know what? You're right. You can't come in. When it comes to even doing rape kits and stuff like that, no, I don't want you doing this. As a clinician coming in to advocate for that child, okay, y'all gonna have to hold off for a minute. Now I'm gonna have to talk to this child and say, what about what they're doing right now? Don't you like? What's uncomfortable about it?
Right.
I gotta get them to really say what's going on, and then get them to feel comfortable enough and let them see that they have control of that situation. And then once they feel like they have control and they're making the decision to do whatever, then we move forward, because it's all about the control, the power. When people abuse people, we always go back, oh, they must have been molested. Everybody that abuses people has not been molested. And I think a lot of people, and I tell my guys that I work with, you're using that as a cop-out. Everybody hasn't been molested. A lot have, but not all.
Right.
So
I learned so much, because as someone that has not been violated, I think people that have not been violated are guilty of saying, like I said before, why you didn't say nothing? Because I know if it was me, I would have said something. I don't know that. I don't know what I would do. Why did you just now come out and say something? Why did you wait so long? Why am I saying that? I don't know, because I've never been in that situation. So what it's teaching me is that I need to keep my mouth closed in situations that I don't know about and learn. It's about educating yourself. And how I'm educating myself is asking the questions, allowing you to, as a real true victim, to say what happened to you and listen to you, and what the reasons why you did what you did, and because we can, if it's never happened to us, we're so easy for us to say, well, you should have told, because I know I would have told. I don't know. I don't know if I would have. I don't know what I would do.
And there's one important factor. There's one key factor. It's like the big pink elephant in the room that a lot of people don't think about. It's different when it's somebody close to you.
Yeah.
Never forget that.
Yes.
That wasn't that girl's biological dad, but she knew that man as her stepfather. So you have some degree of loyalty to that person. The same loyalty that I have to my cousin.
Wow.
That would make me never hate him. That would make me accept calls that when he got in trouble for this crime that he didn't commit, I was one of the first people that he called and one of the first people that jumped to help him, regardless of what he did to me. Because that's still your family. You understand? So that's why a lot of people don't say stuff too, because I know they did this, but that's my family. I know this may have happened. I got over it. I made it through, and that's my family. Where if it wasn't family, you would have been on that phone with the first policeman that you could have came in contact with and would have been making a phone call. And that's why I try to explain to people a child victim is different from an adult victim. An adult victim, they know what's going on.
See,
you know that you're being assaulted.
Let's talk about that, because I wanted to say I don't want to be like biased to just say, well, kids is a difference between a kid victim and an adult victim, but because now it's not. Only difference is what you're saying. You have a voice as a grown person.
Yeah.
As a child, you have to you stay in a child's place, but you're doing adult things to me. So I got to do what you tell me to do. But as an adult, you kind of know what's going on with you. Know that somebody's violating you and it's wrong and something here ain't right. Where if the child has been groomed to do this and to know that, that's the difference. But a victim is a victim.
A victim is a victim. But that when people say, well, this happened to me as a child, and so da-da-da-da. Okay, and this happened to me as an adult, so I know a child. You don't know.
You don't know.
What happened to you as an adult doesn't have anything to do with what happened to Susie Q as a child. Two completely different things. You cannot compare the two. Absolutely not. You can both say that you have been victimized. But as far as your experiences, they are like apples and oranges. They're going to be completely different. Because just for me, my stuff started at 4 years old. Now you tell me what the flip I know about somebody touching me at 4 years old. So by the time I get to 8, it's been normalized.
Right.
You understand? So when people say, well, they should have did blah, 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 blah. As an adult, even though you're no longer being touched, that child victim is still being touched. The more they grow, even though they're not being physically touched, mentally, they're still being touched. They're still being violated because they don't even know it happened yet. All you know is that you're feeling certain ways about certain things and you're behaving certain ways and you're not acting exactly like other people. You're kind of standoffish with certain things. And it's like that trauma all over again. And that's what that approach comes from, that trauma informed. That's where the purpose is, to not re-victimize somebody that has already been through something. So when you go, well, why didn't you do this? Why are you bringing that back up? Well, you should have told. I would have told. You don't know what you would have done.
Miss Fat, I want you to help me with this. She says all kids are victims. I don't believe all adults are. So I think I know what she's saying. And Miss Fat, you tell me. I'm saying, like, because as adults, right? I don't know what she's saying. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but
I understand what she's saying. As a child, you can't. It's like you don't have control, right? As an adult, you have some degree of control. But the thing is, a violation is a violation. If it was unwanted, then it's a violation. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think it's different in the fact that 4-year-old child, she can't go pick up the phone and say, listen, this person did something to me and it was John so-and-so that did, and can go and give that description and you understand that what they did was wrong. So I know she's looking at other situations where, somebody, well, he did this after you consented, then you change your mind in the middle, right? A lot of people don't consider that being forcible. Or if a husband goes and he forces his wife to do something, right? A lot of people don't consider that to be forcible or forced. So you got different degrees of it. But if a person has been violated, we shouldn't carry the load or take on the responsibility of saying, no, this person is not a victim, because you don't know.
Right.
You don't know. And understand that emotional abuse is just as bad, if not worse, than physical abuse, because some people would rather you hit them than to be verbally abusive to them, because those words stick. It's just like when you're a child and you weigh the options, right? Look, if I do this, I'm gonna get a whipping, right? That whipping lasts maybe 5 minutes, but you had fun all them hours when you went out doing what you weren't supposed to do. So you waited to. So when it comes to certain things, it's like we just have to be careful.
You just got to be careful.
Don't want to put yourself in a place where you find yourself in that type of situation, and you have somebody telling you that because you didn't do this the way that they would have done it, then your story is incredible.
Right.
We have to be careful with that.
That's right.
We have to. Realizing that anything that we do like that, you don't want to be the person that re-victimizes somebody. That's
right. And that's why I said I've learned a lot, because just with this in a couple of days, that I can't say, I just don't know. I can't judge people. I have judged in the past, and I just don't know. And I'm sorry that I judged. All I feel like is, if it happened, to be honest about it. That's my thing. If it happened, be honest. Not because you're mad because you couldn't get the money stopped, or what, or you couldn't get your way, or whatever reason is. Don't come out putting people in that kind of situation for those reasons. I'm saying,
and to be fair, we do have to say that does happen. People say that it doesn't. I've seen it. It happens. It does happen. And some people will use their kids. We talk about them giving their kids away to a perpetrator. Some people will use their kids as a bargaining chip. Well, if you don't do this for me, well, I'm going to say you did this to my child, right?
Right.
Well, even though nobody touched your child, you just raped your child. Because you're making them go through all this stuff in the system. You're making them go through a rape kit. You're making them go through counseling. You're making them get exposed to these words that they normally wouldn't have been exposed to. They're getting exposed to how sexual acts work. I got to go and show them this picture of this man and this woman right here, and where this part of the body is and this part. I'm putting them through all this stuff. So I have raped the child myself, trying to accuse somebody else of doing it.
Right.
I violated. And that's what people don't understand. And that's what gets people like fired up when it comes to stuff like that, because we try to act like that doesn't happen either. And it does happen.
And it does. And that's why it's a touchy subject.
Right. And for that purpose, phases, I'll say this. I am a firm believer, because I work with sex offenders every day. And that's why I don't go and sit here and say, oh, they deserve to go to hell. Like, I'm not going to do that, because with everybody that has some bad, there's some good in them too.
That's right.
And I'm not going to go and be the one to judge, because if somebody took all the mess that I did and put it down, our stuff may not be exactly the same, but I'm no better. I'm no better at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to, I'm going to leave that alone.
It's really, it's touchy, and it's people's lives.
It is. And you have to be careful.
Yes.
You have to be careful, because one thing when I was pulling stuff today, I'm seeing all these experts saying like you can recognize a sex offender. No, you can't. We look at people like, dog, he look like he might be a sex offender. See, that's how we stereotype people. You understand?
Misconception, the perception you give.
Yeah, we can just call him out, right? Yeah.
Because of the way
it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that, because somebody that's really about this abusive life, it's just like a person that abuses their wife. You're not going to know until they want you to know, or unless they slip up and something happens to come out. Other than that, you're not going to know. If those text messages wouldn't have popped up and that little girl would have just came out and said her dad did that, they probably wouldn't have believed her. Just like the young lady said on the phone, nobody in the community expected it. They're like in shock and awe right now.
Yeah, I'm feeling it. Like, people are like, what? And you see it all over Facebook. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah. But it's reality. And that's the thing. We have to stop acting like we know what's going on in somebody else's house.
That's right.
You
And we weren't
understand?
there.
Either way, whether
And we
stuff
weren't
did or
there.
didn't happen, we
We
don't
weren't
know.
there and just talking like we know what we talking about. And we were not
Right.
even there.
Right. But we have to, there is a degree people think it's about somebody's sexual appetite, or what their preference is. That has nothing to do with it. It's all about power. It's about control. And that's why you may not see it. Yeah, well, they never did this to me. It wasn't about you because they didn't feel like they could control you.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't have complete control over that situation. So maybe that's not. And that's what I wanted to say when the young lady, she was talking, I think y'all said something about being afraid for his biological kids. People like this, they usually don't touch their own kids.
Their own kids, somebody. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's a, and the other thing that I wanted to, y'all talked about substances and substances coming into play. There is just a little bit of truth to that, because people that have already been through something, some type of trauma, it doesn't have to be sexual abuse trauma, but been through some type of trauma, a lot of them do turn to substances, and they're doing it to self-medicate. So that's where those substances tend to come in at. And you have the person, and I'm not going to let anybody, I don't work too long in substance abuse to let somebody use meth as an excuse for touching somebody's child, because people with money, affluent people use meth every day and go to work. They use it so they can stay up for days and days. So no, you won't get that one as an excuse. But you do have a lot of people where substances are involved because they're using it to self-medicate, or for the ones that they need a little, you know how we talk about that, we call it courage, like liquid courage. A lot of them, they want to do it, and they won't do it without that liquid courage. Just like you might want to fight somebody, but you're not going to jump unless you got that stuff in your system. So it helps relax them a little bit so that they can go ahead and do whatever they need to do, and then they can come back and blame it on that substance. I only did it because I was under the influence of this substance. Now I got something to blame it on. And a lot of times we'll let them have that. Well, they were doing crack. That's why they did it.
Yeah. Wow.
So I just wanted to
this is good. Well, this was really good. I promise you, this was a lesson learned tonight. Like, because we don't get into these on a daily basis, these kind of conversations, because people don't want to talk about it, you know. But it is reality, and it's happening all around us. That's what we're saying. Stay woke. Stay woke. When it comes to your children, talk to your children. Don't be too busy that you can't talk to your children, and let them know that if it's something you need to talk about, I don't care what it is, tell me. Whether you think you're going to get in trouble or not, I want to know, because I'm your protector, right?
Right.
And that's what's so sickening. The mother didn't protect her baby.
Okay. And if I could leave just one thing on this show today, and I think this is an awesome show too. I
think it was really good.
Parents, I don't care if you're the mom or the dad, because we always want to put it on the mom to say something to the daughter, right? Parents, period. It's just like people say don't mention suicide to somebody because it'll make somebody do it. That's BS, right? You feel like if you don't mention abuse to your child, then it won't happen. That's BS. So regardless of whether or not you see, I'm telling you, I was 4. This little girl right here was 8. It's never too early for you to start talking to your children. Even if you got to use, I tell parents, you can use code words if you need to. Like you tweeted me, somebody text you, tweeted me, like just make up code words to talk to your kids. But you have to get to them early, because somebody that is sick, they're trying to get them early. So as soon as they're old enough to start understanding or comprehending some things and can start identifying body parts, you need to start having conversations with your kids. And don't be afraid that you're doing too much. You need to have those conversations and make sure that you leave things open so that your children feel comfortable enough to come to you if someone has done something to them. If you're always coming at them hard and they don't feel like they can come and talk to you, then they're not going to come and talk to you.
They'll shut down. They'll shut
You have
down.
to make sure you leave those lines of communication open, especially when it comes to this. And I'm
Right.
saying that because you said, don't go out doing this. Don't go. If your child cares enough about you to come and tell you that they went and had sex with it, or like you need, I'm not telling you how to parent your kids now.
Right. But it's true.
But you got to have some line of communication so that child feels comfortable enough with you.
That's
that
right.
if something happens to them,
Yeah.
whether it was invited or not.
Yeah. You don't want the streets to raise your kids.
That's
You
right.
don't want people out there telling your kids what's right and what's wrong. It's your responsibility.
That's right.
They
Ooh,
should have
Lord.
the trust to say what they need to say to you, no matter how it's going to hurt your feelings, no matter how ashamed they are about it. I'm their confidant and I'm their protector and I have their back, right or wrong.
And you are their first teacher.
That's it.
So the one thing that you have to remember with your kids that they are always watching.
And
if
they
you
are
have a little girl,
yes,
and she's watching you allow certain things to happen to you.
That's right.
She's seeing a man doing certain things to you.
That's right.
And she's seeing that you're okay in it and you're not saying anything. You might be setting your child up for failure.
That's right.
So you have to remember.
Even if you don't think they're listening. They're They're soaking
Always.
all of that stuff
Always.
in, and they're watching. So what you do is what they've learned. That's how they learn.
My challenge, and this is the last thing I'll say: if you have small kids, if you have small grandkids, nieces, nephews, whatever, cousins, sit down, like literally, do it a couple times. Don't just do it one time.
Yeah.
Sit down and watch them play by themselves and watch them play with other children. If you ever sit down, there's a reason why we use play therapy to work with kids in these types of situations. If you ever sit down and watch what they're doing, if you see kids being hypersexual at a young age, you need to pay attention. You got to pay attention. When you see kids touching each other, when you see kids taking dolls and acting out like sexual acts, and like you have to pay attention to that stuff. If you see a child that constantly wants to shove stuff in a toilet, like they have a baby doll and they keep trying to shove stuff in the baby doll's mouth. You see a child like they keep like choking. I mean, it could be so many different things, but you really have to pay attention to your children. And that's where stuff starts at. People say, well, there were no signs. There could have been signs. But it's some stuff we're just not looking for because we don't have the time.
Yeah.
So talk to your kids. Pay attention to your kids. Look at what they're doing. And it'll tell you a lot. It doesn't have to be sexual abuse. It'll tell you a lot about what they have going on.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Dr. Rogers, thank you so much. I'm telling you, this was good. And I'm telling you, people, listen, I don't care if it was just 62 people in here, 40 people, everybody that was in here, they got something out of it. So that means it was impactful and it was worth the time being here. So I appreciate that. You guys, I'm going to have the founder of Save the Youth out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, on this weekend, sometime soon. And so, Dr. Rogers, I'm going to talk to you offline because there are some things we want to talk about. But other than that, you guys, thank you for being here. Be kind to one another. Respect yourself and respect others. And we'll be back. I'm glad to be here tonight. I'm glad that to come back on YouTube. It's been a while. But anyway, I'm back. I'm back. And I'm glad to be here, especially on this topic. Just time to do some new stuff. And what better way to do it, to get this out. So again, you guys, thank you for being here. And I'll see y'all next time. Dr. Rogers, thank you so much.
Thank you. Y'all have a good one.
You too.